How y'all doing? Happy holidays! It's Katie here and welcome to the 8th episode. It's December 27th. Today, find out all three hosts' top pop culture moments of 2024. The girls share their goals for the new year. Reread some of your anonymous hot takes and more. Let's go! In this segment, I will be sharing this week's trending pop culture headlines. Time for Katie's top 5 in 5. Psych! It's the last episode of the year, so of course I had to switch things up a bit. Instead, the girlies and I will be sharing our top culture moments of 2024. A lot has happened, guys, and I'm excited to hear what Rosie and Kaitlyn will say. Well, I'll start it off. I rounded up some of my favorite top pop culture moments based on what resonated with me, social media, and its significance. So, some of the top moments in pop culture to me happen to be in sports this year. And I know we didn't talk much about sports this year in our podcast, but I'm a big sports girly. Those who know me know I'm into sports. But what I'm going to talk about specifically is the rise of women in sports. You know, like Caitlin Clark, Asia Wilson, Sha'Carri Richardson, Angel Reese, Katie Ledecky, Alona Maher, Simone Biles, of course, Kim Yeji, Tara Davis Woodhall. Some of them you know, some of them you don't. But some I'm going to talk about like some of the notable one that you might know, like Caitlin Clark, like the phenom. You know, she just won the WNBA's Rookie of the Year and was just named AP's Female Athlete of the Year, which is huge. Her rookie year, she came out with a bang. You know, all eyes were on her coming out of Iowa as she was the lead scorer in WNBA history in her last year. Also, another athlete, a WNBA star, Asia Wilson, had a big year as well. She became the first player in WNBA history to score over 1,000 points in a single season. Not to mention, she has a record-breaking shoe deal. Also, I want to talk about gymnast Simone Biles, the GOAT, as we all call her. She is officially the most decorated American gymnast in the history of the Olympic Games with 8 medals. And, you know, these are just a few of the historical moments from women in sports. I mean, even going to Katie Ledecky, she's like probably the most decorated woman swimmer of our time, and she's so young still. And Kim Yeji of South Korea, she won, I believe, silver in the sharpshooting in the Olympic Games. And of course, Sha'Carri Richardson is the fastest, American woman, as we all know right now. And Tara Davis Woodhall, she won gold in the long jump, but her love with her and her husband Hunter, who is also an Olympian, their love story was amazing. It was good to see like everything going on in Paris and the Olympics and everything going on. But these are just a few women in sports right now that are just excelling, and it's growing. I mean, women's sports was always developing. I mean, for example, WNBA, it literally started in the 90s, so it's still growing, but they're adding franchises now. There's a new WNBA team, but, it's growing. The demand is higher now. Like, people are selling out the arenas for these games, and I'm excited to see how it levels up next year in 2025. Another moment in pop culture that stood out to me was all of the 2000s classics reboots. And I'm specifically talking about Princess Diaries 3, of course, and Freakier Friday. So these are like 2000s like staples. These for all my Disney girlies, like Disney Channel girlies, or just people that like are in their late 20s, early 30s. This is for you. When I heard that Anne Hathaway was returning in Princess Diaries and they're making it, I was shook. I mean, you guys heard already in our past episode how I felt about it. But like nothing else has been confirmed yet. Like if Chris Pine is returning or Julie Andrews, but I need both of them. Like, you know, she could do without her friend Lily, but I those are two staples I need. I'm so excited. And I'm also excited for Freak Year Friday. What a year for Lindsay Lohan also, I must say. Like the comeback of Lindsay Lohan. I mean, she's been on her, you know, return tour like for a while now, like with Netflix films left and right, but she looks good. Okay? When you make a comeback, that's how you look. She came back prettier than ever. Everyone's asking like who her surgeon is. I mean, it shouldn't matter, but nonetheless, she looks really good. And I'm excited to see Freakier Friday, you know, with Jamie Lee Curtis, Chad Michael Murray, and Manny Jacinto is going to be in there as well. So I'm excited for both of those films next year. Well, Freakier Friday is set to come back next year. I don't know when Princess Diaries 3, but I will let you guys know when that happens. Another moment in pop culture that I have to talk about is the return of Robert Downey Jr. Yup, that was huge. He's returning to the MCU as Doctor Doom. This is literally the best Marvel announcement that I've heard since like 2016. Like 2016 through 2018 was like peak Marvel, and I don't think they've been able to like get that hype back up yet. They had it briefly with Shang-Chi and, you know, recently with Deadpool and Wolverine. But, I mean, we're still waiting for the second Shang-Chi film. And I don't know if that's even going to happen at this point. We're in the next phase. I mean, they're reevaluating things based on, you know, various events. Like, I don't know. I think COVID kind of changed things a bit for them. But also, like, controversies with some of their actors. Like, we talked about Jonathan Majors. He was supposed to be the next big thing in Secret Wars with or Kang Dynasty, but I don't know. We'll see what they do. But I'm excited to see Robert Downey Jr. return. Like this is gonna be huge. This is gonna be huge. So another huge year for breakout artists as well in music. You know, branching off. I mean, these are artists. Some of the artists I'm about to mention been in the game for years, like a decade pretty much, and they've been grinding, and now they're in the top of their game. You know, we hear their names everywhere now. I'm talking about Sabrina Carpenter, Charlie XCX, Chaperone, Ray, and, you know, Leon Thomas, just for example. I mean, these artists have been in the industry 10 plus years, and now look at them getting their flowers. Sabrina Carpenter started off, you know, as a Disney Channel kid, and she's like the biggest artist of 2024. In my controversial, but I think she's had a bigger year than Taylor Swift. I mean, some may say over Beyonce. They all have had a phenomenal year, but this year was Sabrina Carpenter. Like from the album to the lead singles, like you mean this was her year. You cannot deny that. And I will have to say, like, I don't really listen to Charlie XCX or Chaperone like that, you know, but you can't deny their impact as well, you know, through social media and Brat Summer and all that stuff. Like, this is what I'm talking about. It's not even just like music that you listen to. It's just impactful music that's impacted a certain group or social media, and that's how I'm categorizing the top my top pop culture moments. It's not necessarily like my favorite ones, but it's just something that was influential, and I just want to talk about it. And Ray, she's a British singer, I believe, and she's had a phenomenal year. She's a great singer, great vocalist. Oh my gosh, Oscar-winning Tears is a great song. And Leon Thomas, we all remember him being Andre on Victorious. Like from before then. I mean, when he was younger, he was a voice on the Backyardigans. I already knew he was gonna be something big when he grew up. And look at when he was on Victorious, I'm like he outshined everyone else. I mean, maybe except Ariana Grande, but I mean them two just stuck out from the rest. And this is leading on to the next thing I want to talk about is the Wicked movie takeover. Like I work in retail, so I've been seeing merch all over the place. I saw merch from anywhere, like from clothing to bath to homeware to kids toys, every little thing, Funko Pops. It was everywhere. The ads, they did a great job promoting this film. Number one. Number two, I want to talk about the press interviews. The press interviews really did its core on social media between Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. Their chemistry was shown so well through these interviews, and it seems genuine. You know, when you see these interviews, you know, when actors go on press tours for their, you know, latest film, yes, they can have chemistry, but you can tell it's just they're co-workers. That's essentially what it is. But there's a special relationship with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, probably because they had this great theater background and they were able to grasp into these characters, you know, with their whole hearts, not just a job, but, you know, they genuinely loved Wicked and theater. They wanted to do it justice. I believe that was portrayed in the film, and it's why it also did well. And the film itself garnered over $500 million dollars in the box office with about 130 million budget. I'm going off my head what I last read. I think it's almost at 600 million in the box office as we speak, and it's in the top 10 films of 2024. I mean, that it was huge. The success is crazy. And not only that, but it's award season. So, I mean, they already have 4 Golden Globes nominations. So, I'm expecting Oscar nominations as well, you know, the SAG Awards, you know, different things like that, People's Choice. But I'm expecting a lot of awards between Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, and I mean, even Jonathan Bailey. Maybe not the major awards like the Oscars, but People's Choice, you know, things like that. I expect something. Best Picture for sure. The director, John Chu, he did his thing on this one. I mean, from him directing Crazy Rich Asians to this, I already knew it was going to be spectacular anyway, but I hope they get nominated for Best Picture as well as Best Leading Actress, Best Supporting Actress, and Michelle Yeoh. I mean, phenomenal film. And lastly, my top moment in pop culture of this year is remembering the deaths of 2024, and specifically Liam Payne. Now, we never mentioned this in our podcast because the news of his death had came right after we filmed either episode 3 or 4 of our podcast, and our co-host Kaitlyn, she informed me and Rosie after we recorded the news, and I mean, I was shocked. Like, this probably was one of the biggest headlines of the year. I mean, the last couple years, if we're being honest. I was not expecting this at all. And, you know, love him or hate him, I mean, he was a dad, you know, someone has lost their dad. You know, the band members of One Direction obviously paid tribute to him, and, you know, just for the fans out there seeking comfort still, because there are people still, you know, mourning, obviously, his family, friends, fans, you know, diehard Directioners, even my sister. You know, it's hard to get through this because it's something that someone that, you know, you may have looked up to positively, and he was impactful in the group. I mean, straight out from X Factor, you know, where they started, he had, I mean, in my opinion at the time, he had the best vocals in the group besides Zayn, of course. But you know, he will be remembered as, you know, someone that was influential and impactful. I mean, strip that. What's that one song that he has? Strip down or strip that down. But yeah, R.I.P. Liam Payne, and you will be remembered, and everyone else that has passed this year, John Amos, Maggie Smith, everyone. I can't name all of them right now on top of my head, but as we go on 2025, let's just remember that, tomorrow's not promised, so we have to live for today and just be the best of ourselves. And on that note, I am going to pass the mic over to Kaitlyn as I wrapped up my top moments this year. So, hey girl, hey Kaitlyn, what's going on?
Hey, how y'all doing? It's Kaitlyn, and it's time for my segment of today's episode. Time to reflect on the year we've had and some awesome pop culture moments. It's crazy to even be recording this and to be part of this amazing podcast alongside Katie and Rosie. And I just wanted to take a moment to show my gratitude to my amazing co hosts and, having a podcast and being on this with them wasn't necessarily on my 2024 bingo card, but I'm so happy that, I get to leave this year, ending this podcast strong and, continuing it into 2025. So, with that said, let's get into my top three pop culture moments. I'm going to break this up into obviously three parts, but one for each kind of segment of the year. And to start off, just off the top of my head, I'm a wrestling fan. If you know me, I'm like secretly a WWE like nerd and like I watch every PLE and I've been watching wrestling since 2012. So for the beginning of the year, I want to say WrestleMania 40 is my favorite pop culture moment. I think this particular WrestleMania really brought WWE back to the mainstream, and it was just so epic and damn near perfect. No, I want to even say perfect. Like, I felt so many emotions watching the event, night one to night two. Like, there wasn't a miss. And even if there was like low moments, the Usos, um, brawl, I still loved every minute of it. And the final match for night two is unforgettable. The overbooking of it all, if you're familiar with wrestling terms, but um, just the overbooking of it all, having The Rock, having John Cena, having The Undertaker, having Cody Rhodes finish his story was so much fun to watch. And even the moment the Shield's music hit, and you thought for a fat second, think Dean Ambrose is coming back from AEW, and it doesn't happen. But the emotions that match made me feel is definitely my top moment, one of my top moments from the year. All right, moving along. My second best pop culture moment of the year, kind of a two-parter, but it's gonna have to be the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef because we as music heads were fed. And by fed, I mean Kendrick dropped banger after banger after banger, leading us to Not Like Us, which broke so many records. And it is one of my most played songs of the year and probably is going to remain on some top list of mine for the foreseeable future. So definitely, without a doubt, Drake versus Kendrick. And for my last top moment of 2024, honorable mentions to the Olympics that happened earlier this year. I can't believe that the Olympics happened this year. Before recording this, I was telling the girls like I as I'm making this list, I completely like had that moment of like, what happened this year? And I was like, oh my god, the Olympics happened this year. So shout out to the Olympics. There were so many great memeable moments from the opening ceremony to everything to all of the events that happened. So shout out to the Olympics. Um, my final top pop culture moment. of the year is a testament to how chronically online I am. And it, shout out Christina Agresta. I don't know if you're listening to this episode, but shout out you, my best friend and my roommate, because if it weren't for you, I would not know this moment. But my third top moment is holding space for defying gravity. And for those who are unfortunately not chronically online as I am, holding space for defying gravity is a memeable moment during the Wicked press tour where a journalist tells Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande that there is a small group of people online who are holding space for defying gravity this week. This week meaning the week of the press tour. And the confusion, not only in everyone in the room during the interview, but the confusion for everyone on the internet when this interview released, was just so beautifully awkward, is the best way I can put it. There was finger holding, there was dead eyes, and just, what the hell does holding space for defying gravity mean? We will never know because the people in the room didn't even know what that meant either. So, yes, defying gravity and holding space for it is my number three top pop culture moments of the year. And yeah, that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you so much for a great year and great start to this podcast. Thank you for supporting the podcast. And I'm so excited for what topics we'll get to cover, in 2025. So I'm looking forward to that. Retrospectively, just pop culture wise, this was such a great year for music and memes. That's like kind of like where I sit, is like that's what I was paying attention to. It was such a good year for music, and I will look back at 2024 as one of the greatest years in music, and I'm so happy that I got to live through that. On a personal note, this wasn't a year where I had a lot of milestone wins, but I experienced such great things this year and so many good memories and so much growth just in my mental health and in my personal life. And I am in such a good place now. And I'm so happy that I get to do this podcast every other week with two people who love pop culture as much as me. So without getting too personal, I love you guys. Thank you to all the listeners who have given us, a small little platform to talk about really big moments in pop culture. So this is me signing off for the podcast for the year. I will see you guys in the next episode. Love you. Mwah.
Okay, Kaitlyn, you had a fascinating list. I wonder what Rosie cooked up. Hey, Rosie girl.
Hello everyone, Rosie here, and I can't believe that this is our last episode of the year. Oh my goodness. I am, once again, so lucky to be part of this podcast with Kadie and Kaitlyn. Thank you to everyone who has supported us, and I hope we keep you all entertained for the new year. I'm looking forward to what we'll be discussing in 2025. I have a feeling that next year is going to be huge. Just like Kadie and Kaitlyn mentioning their favorite pop culture moments, I wanted to share some of mine. The first one is Dictionary.com's Word of the Year. Demure! Made popular by beauty and lifestyle influencer Jules LeBron. I have been following Jules on TikTok for a while now, and I appreciate how honest she is with her followers. She celebrates her victories with us. She lets us know about her falls. But she always lets everyone know to keep going no matter what is going on. Finding out demure is the word of the year is special because how often does this happen? A trans woman from Chicago of Puerto Rican descent having the spotlight like this? Oh my goodness. I'm so happy for her. She deserves this and so much more. I can't wait to see what 2025 has in store for her. My second favorite pop culture moment is from the Paris Olympics about a man obsessing over chocolate muffins from the Olympic Village. Yes, I'm talking about Norwegian swimmer Henrik Christensen. My goodness, I had so much fun watching his videos and people react to them. And I loved how the other Olympians also wanted to try this chocolate muffin. My goodness. There's also Jenna Ortega. During an interview discussing the sequel to Beetlejuice, a journalist from BuzzFeed, Carolina Reynoso, told her that she's Latina enough. Not only was this important for Jenna to hear, but for others who do not feel connected to their culture enough because they don't speak the language. 2024 has been a big year because we got the rise of Chaperone, your favorite artist's favorite artist. I definitely needed her in my life, and I can't wait for her to have shows in Los Angeles. I know I'll be there. And if you're planning on going when she's here, hit me up so we can meet each other up over there. My goodness. Oh my gosh. This year, we also got Ryan Gosling performing at the Oscars. He performed I'm Just Ken with the other Kens from the Barbie movie. And Slash was there too. That was crazy. But there was something in me that just said, you know, there's probably kids watching this and looking at Slash and asking, who is this guy? So if they don't know who he was then, I hope they know who he is now. Even though there are too many great pop culture moments to name, those are just some of my favorites. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday, and I wish the best for 2025. This is the year I'm finally going to drive. I'm calling it. Honestly, being 31, I shouldn't have taken this long to get this done. But I'm gonna do it. I swear. I promise. I will attend movie screenings at indie theaters around Los Angeles because I need that in my life. I follow so many theaters and see all these special screenings and I just don't go to them. So I definitely have to make an effort to be there. Take care, everyone. Stay tuned for our first episode of 2025. This is Rosie signing off.
New year, new me. Just kidding. Well, kind of. 2025 is almost here, although certain results from November will be in effect next year. I want to make the best of it, okay? I don't really have New Year resolutions because I think that it's considered a bit short term and some people ask for things that can be changed right now. That's my hot take. But however, I do have goals that I'd like to accomplish. For starters, I want to continue my weight loss journey, but with more determination. Literally. I need a job within my journalism bachelor's degree. Heavy on need. I'm so done with retail. After this week, I need a big girl job. Another one of my goals is being faithful, obviously, whether, in God. I mean, I believe in God. In work, relationships, not necessarily boyfriend relationship. I'm talking about friendship. I'm talking about family relationships. Working on that. That's all important to me. Being financially responsible. Lord have mercy. And stable. This is my biggest problem. If y'all only knew what my closet looked like right now. I have 4 loads of clothes waiting on me. Why? Because I keep buying clothes. And clothes and food is the 2 things I buy the most. That's something I want to be more financially responsible for. I have my own apartment now. And they just raised the rent. Oh, Lord have mercy. And I'm still working minimum wage, so I got to get my money up. Let's all get our money up. And my last goal, one of my last goals, big goals that I want to accomplish is continuing the Hey, How Y'all Doing podcast, of course, but by pushing for weekly episodes. Eventually, we will be doing weekly episodes. It's just we all have busy lives, but that's one of my goals for next year. And I want to expand the social media presence. I just have to make time to do the social media, but it's been so much fun and I want to expand it a lot. And, I have a site for the page as well. I want to write more stories as well. And my last goal is I want to travel more. I mean, in the next couple days, I'm actually going to be traveling to New York for New Year's. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my cool, but I'm going to New York for New Year's, guys. I'm so excited. Yes, it's a solo trip, but I mean, it wasn't originally, but I mean, I'm not going to let anything stop me from, just living my life. I'm so excited. It's going to be a 3-day trip. I'm super excited. But yeah, that's one of my goals for next year is to travel. Travel. Like my dream location to travel, it's not even outside the United States. It's literally Seattle. I want to go to Seattle to just explore the nature. Like I want to see the markets. I want to see just the lifestyle. I'm excited for that. I want to. It has to. It all. All my goals are like implemented into each other. I want to travel more, but I have to be more financially responsible. I want to get a job within my degree, but I have to be faithful. Everything is like, weight loss journey. I have to be faithful. I have to work in progress. I have to be determined. They all like intertwine with each other, and that's what I like most about my goals. Notice how I didn't put find a boyfriend on that list. Very polite, very respectful, very demure. This will be the year of me. Self-care is a necessity for me since I have neglected myself for the longest time. I want to get my priorities right as I finish out my 20s. That's crazy. I'm in my 20s, but I just have a couple years left. Anyways, Christmas might be over, but the holiday vibes are still here. It's time to read some of your hot takes. These were all submitted anonymously, so your opinions are safe and your chances of being canceled are very slim. We asked you guys this week, what were some of your favorite Christmas holiday movies? So before I read, I feel like it's just important for me to share mine, right? My favorite holiday films, I've been watching Christmas movies since November 1st, y'all, like every day. But my all-time favorites, some of them include Eloise at Christmas Time. If you know, you know. That's such a great film. Unaccompanied Minors, I love that. Home Alone, obviously a classic. The Last Holiday with Queen Latifah, I love that one. There's a lot of new ones too that I've been trying to catch up with, like The Holiday with Emma Roberts. I've seen that. There's a lot, but I like the ones that we watched as a core as children, like The Polar Express. Those films mean a lot to me. And those are just some few that I like. The Grinch is also another staple. But I also like shows, like Christmas specials, like Arthur's Perfect Christmas Special. That's a family staple. We watch that every single year. Also Rugrats, the Christmas episode, Big Time Rush Christmas episode. Okay, I know all of it. I'm just a big like adult child when it comes to Christmas films, but also like romantic ones like While You Were Sleeping. Oh my gosh. And it's funny because I didn't end up watching that one until this year actually. I know I'm late, but I'm glad I grew on it. That one, The Holiday, just I have a whole list, but those are the first ones that come to mind. But anyways, I'm gonna read a few submissions that you guys had, of course. These are not really hot takes, but I just wanted to know what you guys, watch every year. So the first one says, Meet Me in St. Louis is my fave. Okay, I gotta put that on my list for next year. The second one says, I love A Charlie Brown Christmas. I agree. And it's crazy because a lot of Christmas specials, films, they're known for the films, but also not the music. A Charlie Brown Christmas is known for the music as well. And every time I listen to, the Charlie Brown like Christmas music, holiday music, it reminds me of my grandma because she plays it every year on the record player. So it's always a good time when I hear it. Especially like Christmas Christmas time is here. Like, you know? Anyway, the third submission is Santa Claus is a fave because it's a classic. I think, is that the one with Tim Allen? Because there's like 3 of those, I think, right? But anyway, yeah, those are classics. And thank you guys so much for submitting your hot takes and answers like throughout the whole year. You know, it's always a good time when we read, you know, comments and things like that. And I just want to say thank you to my amazing fellow hosts, Rosie and Kaitlyn, for sharing such a passion for pop culture like me. We are going to have a blast and have some cool things prepared for the listeners as our podcast continues. And before I close, I really couldn't have made this podcast possible if I didn't have Kaitlyn and Rosie motivating me to do so. We've always joked about creating a podcast together since college days at Cal State Long Beach. Ay, go Beach. I did have my own podcast there called Son of a Beach. But having these girls by my side on our growing show is mind-blowing and makes my day better, especially when I'm like sad or stressed. I hope to continue the good vibes and share more funny moments with you both. Lastly, I just want to say thank you guys for listening to a silly podcast about serious pop culture moments. This has been Rosie, Kaitlyn, and Kadie here. See you next time for the 9th episode of Hey, How Y'all Doing? Releasing on Thursday, January 9th. On that note, Happy New Year! Bye!